It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner with women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman. And boy, what a week. We actually have 3 games to review as we join you after your longest road trip of the year, obviously going to UConn and then Philadelphia to take on Temple. Really tough road trip. But, you know, we're going to start with a win and talk about a historic event, first ever game at 100, winning in overtime against East Carolina 100-92. How about that game?
Well, looking back, it was really fun. I mean, we shot the ball really well. I mean, scoring 100 points that had never been done in the history of our program. 4 or 5 people in double figures. It just seemed like we couldn't do anything wrong on offense. Unfortunately, neither could East Carolina. Yeah. They scored a lot of points too. But for us to, we had a lead, and then they come and make a runner right at the buzzer to send the game into overtime. Mainly because we had just missed 2 free throws that could have iced the game, and they hit the runner. And so you think, having young kids, they're going to be a little despondent. But we came back in the overtime and we scored the first 7 points. I mean, boom, 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 and that was the lift that we needed to carry us through that 5-minute overtime. And then I think Liesl Spurl hit a free throw to give us our 100th point. And so everything about that night was really special, just and how we had to fight to hold them off and come back and then getting to 100, just really special. I'm happy for our kids.
Yeah, and you often talk about wanting to make more free throws than the other team attempted, and you did that. You got to the line 48 times, and so you accomplished that feat. But you must have been pretty aggressive, offensively to get that many fouls.
Well, some of it was, we had the lead in the fourth quarter, and they're trying to catch up, and so they're fouling. And then some of it, again, in the overtime, they're trying to catch up, so they're fouling. But we did do a really good job of attacking. East Carolina is a real physical team, and so it was a great battle between two really good teams. And they shot free throws, we shot free throws. I think we just shot so many because they were trying to catch up and having to foul us.
Well, you had 2 of your bigs getting the double-double, if you will. Kendry and Elliott was just spectacular for you in that game. I think it was 27 and 13. And then, as you mentioned, Lisa Spurl, very good as well. So when you get that production inside like that, it's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think everything people talk about our guard play and what we do offensively with our guards. For Kendry and Liesl to come in that night and both of them have a double-double, and actually Kendry had 29 that night, and so we were hoping she'd go ahead and get 30. But because of Kendry's play that night and then our game against UConn, she was named the Freshman of the Week in the American Conference for the second time. And I think 4 out of the last 5 weeks we've had the Freshman of the Week. So that really says a lot about our freshman class and how talented they are. But they've got to keep working. They can't rest on those laurels. They have to keep working. Our team has to continue to grow and get better.
Yeah, another one of those players that's been Freshman of the Week, Shug Dixon, had 20 in that game against East Carolina. So you're 4-5, and now you go on this enormous road trip, playing Sunday at UConn, and everybody knows what a challenge that is. And then, of course, Wednesday in Philadelphia against Temple. So first of all, the UConn game, assess that one for us.
Well, first quarter, we're only down 5 or 6, and that's not typical because that's usually when they make their big run. They get ahead about 20 in the first quarter, and then they just kind of, beat you a little bit at a time each quarter after. So we felt really good about being that close in the first quarter. And then the second quarter, they just score so many points in a hurry. They just get their points in bunches. And a lot of that comes out of transition. They get steals and go down and make layups, or even they'll go transition after a missed shot, and they're so efficient in what they do. But we still scored 50 points. We felt good that we held them below 100. So in 2 games with UConn this year, we're averaging 58 or 54 points a game, and that's not bad. The crowd was good. First time we played on their campus arena in Gamble Pavilion, so crowd was good. You could feel the energy, and I think that's good for our players to feel that kind of atmosphere. And that's why some of those guys are in our program right now, because they get to go play UConn and they get to play them twice a year.
Shug Dixon and Ebony Parker each in double figures for you. So did they step up and do okay then?
Yeah, I mean, with UConn, you're somewhat limited, especially inside. Your post players aren't going to do as well against their size, but we did a good job of moving the ball and getting some inside-outside stuff so that Shug and Ebony could get some rhythm shots on the perimeter.
So then your road trip continued. A nice little side trip on the way, because anybody who knows geography knows that if you're going from Connecticut to Philadelphia, that you got a chance to pass through the big city, New York City. So you took advantage of that situation to spend a day in the big city in New York City.
Well, with those games being so close together, we knew that we were going to stay up there, and having Monday off, Tuesday off, we needed to find something to do.
Sure.
And Monday was our day off from basketball. After the game on Sunday, we got in the bus and bussed down to, the game was early, the game was at 1 their time, so we bussed down to New York City. We had a hotel right there on Times Square, about a block off Times Square. We got there around 6:30 in the evening, fed them, and just said, go have fun, stay in large groups, but just go have fun and see Times Square. And so that's what everybody did. The weather was good, you could walk around and see the sights, and we went by. Everybody kind of got to do their own thing. My particular group, we started off with a slice of New York pizza, and then we had to go to Junior's and get a slice of cheesecake, and then we walked about 2 miles and went to Serendipity and had a frozen hot chocolate, and we went by Rockefeller Center. We went by where they filmed Good Morning America. We went by Radio City Music Hall. I mean, we saw all the stuff and got some neat pictures. And so that was our Sunday after the game. And then Monday morning we got up, went and toured Madison Square Garden, which was really cool, and then bussed on down to Philadelphia on Monday night. And then Tuesday had practice. We had done the Rocky steps and the statue last year, but we had 4 freshmen and a transfer that hadn't done that before. So our hotel was just down the street from the art museum. So after practice, we just first we had to have a Philly cheesesteak.
Of course.
And then we went over to the art museum, and everybody ran the stairs and took a picture in front of the Rocky statue. And so, it kind of felt like you were doing something, and part of that's educational feel for that, But most of our players probably didn't know that the Rocky steps led up to the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Right.
So that there's an educational piece in there. And then Wednesday, of course, we have an early game. It's Kids Day. There's like a couple thousand kids in there screaming. It was an all-day event. Those kids got there at 9:30 in the morning. They had a DJ. They played games. They had contests. And then our game was at noon their time. So we were able to at least get on a plane Wednesday night and be home by midnight on Wednesday.
Well, quite a cultural experience. Glad that you were doing a lot of walking and getting exercise, because we do know you ate well, right? I mean, you had some really good experiences in that regard.
And I feel like we did all of the New York, Philadelphia things that you're supposed to do, you know? And so, again, it's an educational experience, a cultural experience, and unfortunately you have to play the number 1 and 2 teams in your conference. But we came away with no injuries, so that's a good part of it.
Yeah, and the game against Temple just didn't turn out the way you wanted. I know you didn't shoot the ball well. It's one of your worst really offensive performances of the year, right?
And you could blame that on, we're on the road for 5. It's a 5th day of a road trip, and not only are you physically tired, you're mentally tired. And kids are, we had study halls while we were gone. Kids are studying. I know we had kids that had tests as soon as we got back, and that makes it tough as a student athlete when you miss 3 days of classes in 1 week, and you still have to take tests. You still have to be caught up on notes and that kind of thing. And so fortunately the professors are understanding, and they realize that if you can't be there for the test, well, there has to be a makeup date. So now we've got some time now for everybody to kind of get caught up, because we're at home next week.
Yeah, and down by 18 at halftime, it was tough to come back from that after a really slow start, right?
Yeah, we just shot the ball so poorly. For most of the game, we were shooting about 18%, and we had a little flurry there at the end, which boosted us up to 22%. And again, fatigue becomes a factor. You don't have legs. The shots are short, but give all the credit to Temple. They really guarded well. They're aggressive. They were up in our faces, and they weren't really giving us any wide open looks in the first place.
Well, the positive out of all those missed shots is you got 16 offensive rebounds. You had a few to go after, but you did out-rebound them. So, I mean, if there is a positive out of it, right?
Exactly, and it's kind of like we talked about during the course of the game. Yeah, we're getting rebounds, but they're not missing any shots. There was one point in the third quarter that they were 7 for 10, I think, at the media timeouts. But they played really well. They shot the ball extremely well. They got steals and turned them into transition points. So just again, give credit to Temple. I thought they really played a really good basketball game.
A team tied for second place coming into the game. Temple now 8-2 on the season. TU 4-7 after the road trip, and it's good to be home, obviously. And we'll talk about the game coming up on Saturday when Coach's Corner continues in a minute.
We are American. We are the spark that ignites, dazzling, brilliant, intense. We are plugged in with the volume turned up all the way. Because on this court, on any given night, the energy of 5 becomes the power of 1. That's power. We are power.
And we welcome you back to Cafe Mossman as we continue the Coach's Corner with the head coach of the Golden Hurricane, Matilda Mossman. We get ready for Saturday's game at 1 o'clock here at the Reynolds Center, and it's UCF. And right now you're, as you thought you would be, kind of in the middle of that mosh pit in the middle of the standings. 3 teams at 4-6, including UCF. They've just come off a big win over Houston. And then your team at 4-7. So it's a big game for you.
It is, and we've kind of taken care of the games that we should have taken care of, with the exception of Houston to open up the conference season. Our only losses besides Houston have been to the top 4 teams in the league, and some of the UConn, we've lost to them twice, and we've lost to Temple twice. Right. So that's a big part of our losses, and so now we come into the final couple weeks of the season, and having UCF at home, we were able to beat them on the road, but it was a close game all the way through. We just managed to hit some shots there in the fourth quarter that gave us a little bit of a pad, and then made free throws down the end, down the stretch to win. And then we have Houston at home. We've had that marked on our calendar since losing down there. And then we go to SMU. So those next 3 games are all games, like you said, teams in that mosh pit of trying to beat each other to try to get up to that 5th spot or possibly even the 4th spot, depending on how it plays out.
Yeah, and certainly it's a 1 o'clock game, so a good game, part of a doubleheader with the guys playing at 5. So get on out to the Reynolds Center early. Home court advantage is big, but it's bigger when you have a good crowd and a boisterous crowd that really helps your team. Yeah,
and Central Florida is one of those teams that they're really aggressive. They have juniors and seniors that have been there for a while. They're probably playing their best basketball of the year right now, and certainly some energy in the arena would help us.
All right, we will see you at 1 o'clock then on Saturday, fans, right here at the Reynolds Center as TU takes on UCF. Coach, good luck.
Thank you.
That wraps it up for Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman. We'll talk to you next week.